morning, everyone. I'm tickled to show you something here because the message today is about thinking affirmatively. And the wisdom was put together this week for this message by Reverend Linda Rapond. And she recommended a couple of videos, and sometimes I don't go through those, but this time I did, and I was so dang amused by this one, and it was such a flashback that I just wanted to take you on that same journey. So it's a Saturday Night Live clip, so you already know that it has great wisdom for you, okay? But as Charlie turns down the lights and Damien gets this all set to go, I want you to look at it from a wiser place inside of yourself. Because we remember that our affirmative thinking begins within, and we have all of those underlying subconscious thoughts that we have to go through as a filter. So this is rather an amusing way about that. So that being said, all you that are doing the 40 days of prayer, you have your notebooks ready. I know everybody's like, is she going to say anything important? You better be writing. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Could you relate? Could you relate to that? Do you remember that series? He's so, when I have done in retreats many times, any kind of mirror work, that's what happens. You pull out a mirror and people go, I think I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to nap on this whole workshop. I'm not going to do this one. And there's a whole level of getting through that to look into a mirror and really speak a deep truth to the eyes that you're seeing within the mirror. So think about that. Practice that at home. And imagine yourself with that mirror in front of you, where does your dialogue go? And you'll be pleased to see that it won't take you long. Many of you have trained yourself to really work on changing your thinking in such a way that you do live your life with a more affirmative way of viewing things. And there's an Anthony DeMello quote that I found very, very beautiful that I wanted to share with you as well. Because many times, we have had some incredibly painful experiences that paint who we are today. And trying to override that, trying to allow ourselves to really believe and to love who we are in this very day can be the challenging point. So this little particular story, a woman in great distress over the death of her son came to the master for comfort. He listened to her patiently while she poured out her tale of woe. Then he said softly, I cannot wipe away your tears, my dear. I can only teach you how to make them holy, how to make those tears holy. And the depth of our teaching, the depth of the work that we dedicate our lives to here at this center is to take what has happened to you and make it holy. To make it not be that which leaves you in a trap within yourself, but set free into a greater way of being and living, so that everything that's happened to you becomes a tool of your growth, and therefore you can reach out to others and help them. I appreciate Damien's readings from Ernest Holmes, because Ernest Holmes reminds us from the glossary what an affirmation is. To affirm anything is to state that it is so. Think about your mind now in the many ways that it can play on you, just like Stuart's. He was really trying to stay above some of those thoughts, but every now and then they would drag him down to the deep waters. But to affirm anything is to state that it is so, and to maintain this is the key, as being true in the face of all evidence to the contrary. Human thoughts can only affirm, For even at the moment of denial, it is affirming the presence of that which it denies. Repeating an affirmation is leading the mind to the state of consciousness where it accepts that which it wishes to believe. So the question I offer you as you leave here today is, what do you really want to put into action in your life? And are you willing to take your mind there? From the Bible, the quote, "In all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer," believing is the key word there. Believing ye shall receive. And when he was referencing that in the Bible, it was about the fig tree, with that moment where they were on their walk and in fellowship, and I believe there was some hunger, and they passed this fig tree that had no fruit. And so in that moment, Jesus had said about that the tree withered in his presence and shall bear no more fruit. Let the fig tree let no fruit grow on thee forever, and wither away. And it did right before them, and it's one of those miraculous moments that everybody witnesses. And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if you shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done." Now watch yourself in that, right? If you were to say, "This mountain be gone," and you could feel the little parts in you that go, "Yeah, really? A mountain gone?" There's the layers of doubt. There's the field of doubt that Jesus is pointing to as one of the master teachers of this talk today. So look at that field. It's there, but it's not permanent. It's just a field, a veil, a fog. And you can feel like you can look and pierce right through that with the power of your intention and the power of your word. And who gives you that authority? You might think, me, just little old me, can do that. Well, if you align yourself with the divine and you absolutely take that first step and know that God, the Mother, Allah, whatever it is you name, the Spirit, the tree, nature, Mother Earth, divinity, whatever is yours to name, and you feel that sense of holy connection to that which you name, and you feel connected in your heart with that divine spirit, therefore lives within you, as you, and there is your authority. You begin to know a greater truth, and you can affirm it. So what do you want to really put into action? Remembering that our mind is filtering, and it's a highway of patterns of our beliefs that we have carried with us. And some of those beliefs are so deep into our subconscious, we're not quite sure they're there, except that we can see a pattern unfolding in our experience that reveals. They always are revealed to us. There's always a message letting us know that this is where our work is to be done. So we look for those patterns, and some of those that have been unchallenged, some of those roadways inside of ourselves have been unexplored, completely unexplored. And some are left with ruts and holes that need to be in repair, need to be torn up, absolutely torn up and rerouted. And these are all the ways that we have continued to just bypass those routes because of our habit thinking. But we can transform our thinking. We can invoke an expectation. Think about this, invoking an expectation in your feelings. Now we can, as we work with this together, we're always leaning into one another, because our friends, our true friends, will reflect back to us. They are our mirror. And even those that cause us some edge, those too are a mirror saying, please look within at this aspect in you, to polish that area inside of you so that you can rise to your true potential, and all that doubt just dissipates. So we're looking at transforming our thinking into this affirmative place, and we're looking at invoking an expectation now in our feelings. and diminish those doubtful ways that tend to dampen our deepest longing. Because if you soul searched in the journey and you went through the various behaviors of heart, if you went through betrayal and into doubt and into shame and into blame and into all of the different ways that we can take ourselves down into the lowest realm, beneath even that murky consciousness, that murkiness is love. It's the invitation is to keep diving deep to the clear waters of a consciousness that is so pristine, so filled with truth, where all of that which is above becomes the holy water itself. So what possibilities can you imagine for yourself? What possibilities? Because maybe to move a mountain just seems too overwhelming, but we have a little pile of bark out there that needs to be moved. If you saw it when you came in, so can anybody move that? You know, we take our mountains down to a size that we feel, yeah, I can handle that. I can do that in my life. And we continue to find ways of the possibilities of where we can do our good. And we confirm that and we build our strength in that by putting our words in action. So all our thoughts begin in this mind brain and in the heart brain. And when we allow ourselves to connect to the feelings, we begin to choose our experiences more positively. And we begin to focus, what is the sum total of all of my thoughts? And it's a challenge daily. And so the practice is to really look deeply into yourself. And if it takes a mirror for you to do that so that you have a dialogue of somebody that you're speaking into, look deeply into your own eyes and have that dialogue of deep truth and begin to put forward what you do want. And you want to see the key point in all of the realm of the divine is to see it as now. Jesus didn't say those words that in a few weeks this tree is going to wither. It withered right there, right before. There was no time element involved. You see everything as right now, and you refuse to believe anything else is waiting for you, anything less than your deepest desire. You just keep believing and you don't uproot it. You clearly declare, absolutely affirmatively, what is it that my heart desires? And you put that forward. So what do you want? Can you plant those seeds? Can you allow those seeds to be planted in such a way that you allow them to germinate? And you germinate them by continuing to feed them the soulful good of your thoughts? Can you allow them then to root deeply into your consciousness so that all of the doubt, all of that other that pulls you away, that withers, and you allow this sprout to form the beauty of your intention, this divine protection, perfection that you had already set in motion with your divine template of thought? You created that. And so affirmatively, we walk our talk. Now, Louise Hay, she was a beautiful woman in her lifetime. She didn't have an easy upbringing. She had everything that you could imagine that would be hard for one person to endure. Abuse, a bad family upbringing, and many troubled relationships. But she became a practitioner. She was one of the really strong practitioners of religious science at the time. And even with her work, she wrote all of this about positive affirmation. She wrote it all up, and at the time, the male dominance in this field of study kind of said, oh, isn't that lovely that you're doing that? But that won't ever go anywhere. So she published it herself. And now we all know, most of us know who Louise Hay is. She's passed away just recently, but in her lifetime, she was able to lead a lot of people, especially addicted people, back to their true self. And so she was a master at demonstrating truth, and she yielded her life to affirming truth and leading others into a greater understanding. Her invitation for all of you is to put love of yourself first. Now, oftentimes we give up our power. Watch it trickle out of you. Watch it and speak to it and command that your power rise back up inside of you the moment you start to feel yourself wither. Because it is in that moment that you call upon the love of yourself and you rise in your strength, and your affirmative words lead the way. So first, love yourself. Approve of yourself. You see how quickly in that little clip Stuart started to doubt himself. Oh, I'm not good at this. They're going to cancel the show just because somebody showed their power. He had to then more deeply listen to the love coming back to him from Michael Jordan in such a powerful way, saying you are doing good work. And sometimes we take our broken heart to a friend, to a loved one, to a practitioner, to a minister, to a counselor. Help me see who I really am. I'm forgetting who I am. And we hold each other there, and we see the truth in one another there. So love yourself first and approve of yourself. Get past the negative imprinting that you spent a lifetime creating and rehearsing. Think about that. How often are you rehearsing it? Rehearsing those stories that break your heart. We bring them up every time we just get a little bit closer to liking ourselves. But remember when? Yeah, that happened. Turn it into holy tears. Turn it into a product of good for you. And as you find yourself rehearsing those past events, turn it around and start to polish it and paint it with thoughts of a greater good unfolding right here, right now, and take your power back. You take your power back, and you love that deep self. If nothing else, you take yourself back to the innocence of the child inside of you, and you would know that you would never abuse another little infant if it takes you back to the infant state of who you are and you're holding your own self in your arms. Love that innocence in you and begin to call a greater witness to all that you think. Now, in Louise Hay's work, she says pain is guilt, unrelenting inside of you. Unrelenting guilt causes, because it gets so buried, it causes the chronic pain that ends up in your life later on. These feelings, every feeling that we ever have, sometimes buried so deep through our subconscious, they're trying to find a form of manifestation, and so they lock inside of you. And you can do a beautiful action of a simple breath, and in that breath, knowing that you are breathing life. Breath is life. Breath is holy. There is the in-breath and the out-breath that automatically is the divine influence on our experience. When we tap into that breath and we consciously invoke a deeper breath, we're inviting a deeper God into our being. And that deeper God has the power to just blast through whatever we have lodged unattended to somewhere in our body. I think it's a powerful metaphor to remember that life of breath, the holy breath that breathes us all the time, reminding us we have a choice and we're alive. So we look for those forms inside of us. We have locked them in. We have allowed their voice to penetrate our thinking, but no more. We're going to use them only as a clue to rise above. So any of those damaging thought patterns, any of those that are leading us to a diseased state, Louise Hay says so powerfully, don't wait until there's a scalpel hovering above you to start doing your work. You begin the moment there is an inkling of a truth being revealed to you. And how does that happen? Through love itself, through your intuition, through the grace of God, Through those moments that you'll see a feather on the ground, and a feather might mean something to you. And so you think, well, why is that there? What am I thinking right here, right now? What's going on? What is the message for me? And we start to walk in a way that the world is casting miracles before our path for us to wake up and to live a truth that benefits all, and especially ourselves. And so in Louise Hay's work, she says, criticism ends up, if you're a highly critical person, it can lead to arthritis in your body. In guilt, you could be looking for punishment yourself, always looking for punishment. Now, this is a tender one to say. Fear, because you all know about my feet. Fear. And I can accept that. Fear in my life. But it also talks about baldness. So those of you that have a little bit of a thinning going on might feel like, well, I'm not afraid of anything. I thought that was a weird one. But it's simply putting the blame outside of ourselves and not taking responsibility for our life. Remember, there's no one to blame. There's no one to blame anymore. And if you can breathe with that, no one to blame, no matter how hideous anything has ever happened, it's over. And the opportunity today with affirmative thinking, through this teaching, through the fellowship of one another, is to mend your heart by remembering who you are. Remember who you are and love that self first. What is the Lord inside of you asking for you to know? How can you transform those holy tears into something more beneficial to your life? I wanted to close with a beautiful passage from Ernest Holmes. He is our teacher, and that is who we celebrate, 100 years of his philosophy, of the way he took it all and brought it into our hearts. We're celebrating 40 years of a charter in this community. Many of us have walked together most of those years in fellowship. And what we have gained from that is kind and affirmative conversations with one another. That's the beauty. We really do care about one another, and we remember the truth of each and every one of us when we look at each other. So, Ernest Holmes' words, one of the last meditation reflections that he wrote in his Science of Mind, I am complete in thee. So close your eyes and feel these words anoint the heart of who you are. Almighty God, everlasting good, eternal Spirit, maker of all things, the keeper of my life, thou art all. Infinite presence within, in whom all live, joy supreme, flooding all the gladness, I adore thee. Eternal peace, undisturbed and quiet, I feel thy calm. Go even deeper and feel yourself breathing right now. Feel the depth of the words as you remember, I am learning right here and now to love myself. And he goes on to say, O thou who dost inhabit eternity and dost dwell within all creation, who dost live through all things and all people, hear thou my prayer. Hear thou my prayer. I would enter thy gates with joy and live at peace in thy house. I would find a resting place in thee and in thy presence live. Make me to do thy will, and from thy wisdom teach me the ways of truth. Compel me to follow thee, and let me not pursue the path of my own counsel. So there, don't let me follow the ways of my old habits. O eternal and blessed presence, illuminate my mind and command my will, that my soul may be refreshed and that my life may be renewed. As deep cries unto deep, so my thought cries unto thee, and thou dost answer. I am renewed and refreshed. My whole being responds to thy love. I am complete in thee. Feel that resonate in your own heart chamber. I am complete in thee. All my ways are guarded and guided, and I live with thee eternally. O lover of my soul and keeper of my spirit, none can separate us, for we are one. We are one. I am one. I am one with that eternal spirit, that guidance. So shall thy wisdom guide me, thy presence dwell within me, thy love keep me, and thy life envelop me now and forevermore. Here it is, simply stated, I rest in thee. We take a breath deeper. Let our understanding today be so blessed by the affirmative knowing that we rest in the one. We rest in the one, and we have refuge in the one. And that one is the only one that ever needs to hear our story ever told again. And as we tell it that one last time, we feel the beloved, we feel that strength rise up through us. And we create a shift right then, right there. And our life is transformed. Feel the possibilities. Feel the possibilities. And as you feel the possibilities, they become your template, your goal, your guide. And you live a greater truth. I give thanks for the wisdom of Ernest Holmes, for the ears that are here that hear this truth and shift right here, right now, into a greater understanding, feeling empowered, feeling grateful. We rise to our true self. This is a powerful moment, and we share it together. I give thanks, and I release this word because I'm absolutely confident it's already so. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.